taken some big, bold actions, but I won't lie, this past winter was pretty intense. Trial by snow, trial by fire, fighters union. I'm getting used to dealing with problems that are expensive, disruptive, and white. I'm talking about snowflakes, I mean snowstorm snowflakes. Those of us who are in the media, who have a choice of how to cover the events of the day, and some of us these days feel that the best we can hope for is silence.
We're not though. We're people, we're law-abiding citizens who found our names on a list. That's who we are.
What's your name, sir?
Concerned.
Why not? Well, then you can't film us. Oh, okay, then I'll film you. You do.
There's a political hit list of 16 people. All of us here are on that list. 4 of us on that list, since that list was made, have been arrested by the Boston police. 3 of us on that list are currently on the ballot for Boston City Council. We are here to find out why this list was made. It was sent in an email from the mayor's office to the Boston police over a year ago. And there's no context before or after the list was sent. We're all private citizens. Shayna was fired after this list was sent. We're just here to get answers. Apparently there's nobody here to address our questions to.
All right, guys, so I'm not sure what's up with Democrats and lists. The people that claim to be against fascism and authoritarianism seem to be fascinated by the idea of creating lists of their political opponents to presumably extract revenge against or try to ruin their lives in some shape, form, or fashion. Now, AOC, back after the 2020 election, came under fire for creating a list of political opponents, aka Trump supporters, because she wants history to remember people who supported people who she politically disagrees with. Again, to presumably try to ruin their lives, deny them opportunities, to discriminate against them because they have different political beliefs than AOC. Now, fast forward to 2023, we have to talk about another woke Democrat, the mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu, who is the first woman mayor and so-called minority mayor, Asian mayor of Boston. You know, we all know why she got elected here. She was a diversity vote, right? She is allegedly compiling a hit list of her critics and sending it to police. So yeah, Democrats seem to have an obsession with creating political hit lists, and this mayor went as far as to send it to police, and some of her staff is being confronted over this because clearly this is making people uncomfortable with the fact that they may be on a political hit list that has been created by the mayor of a city simply for disagreeing with her. Take a look.
Dave, is it a political hit list? Is that what it is? Political opponents? Political enemies? People that cause problems for the administration? Dave, why? Dave, why are we on the list?
We want to know why our name is on the list, because you made a list of. I want to know why my name is on the list. You what, David? For anything, because what's the list, David?
Dave, why is there a list?
Alright, so 5 hours ago on Twitter, it just became public knowledge through Boston First Responders United, their Twitter page, that Mayor Wu, the Boston mayor's director of constituent services, a guy named Dave Vittorini, who I've personally never heard of, had compiled an email with a list of 15 of some of the loudest anti-COVID regime protesters in the city of Boston. And considering that all of these people were all within their rights, doing nothing illegal, simply participating in peaceful, legal protests, have been compiled together in a list, makes you think, what's the purpose of the government creating lists of individuals like this? Is it to target dissidents? Is it to frame them for crimes they didn't do? Guys, this is serious.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Serious indeed, okay? We should be very concerned when we have elected officials creating political hit lists of people who they disagree with and sending them to police, and allegedly police arresting people who were on that political hit list. Now, the mayor's office has responded to these allegations, and she's saying that this list was actually created at the request of the police. She's actually really blaming the police for this list being created.
I did obtain a copy of that email. It includes more than a dozen names, and Mayor Wu's office has put out a statement, but she is refusing to speak with us about it. Questions swirling over a list of Boston Mayor Michelle Wu's critics emailed from her office to Boston police. That list includes a North End restaurant owner who is now accused of assault to murder, a man who was arrested last summer during a brawl outside a city council meeting, and anti-vaccine protesters.
People have the right to protest. It's about how the staff went about it, I think, is the issue. And
Jaquetta Van Zant is a political analyst who once worked for Yvonne Spicer, Framingham's first black female mayor. She says they fielded their share of critics, but that police never asked them for a list.
what they monitored were threats that came in via mail to not only to Dr. Spicer, but myself. I received threats.
A spokesman for Mayor Wu says the list was made in response to a request from the Boston Police Department after the mayor had been harassed and physically intimidated by individuals for several months outside her home at city functions such as the annual Neighborhood Parks coffee hours and at other public events. Van Zant says emailing a list of names to police raises questions about transparency. She says Mayor Wu should have handled it differently.
What should have been done was, this is my problem that I need to speak with the Boston Police Department about. This is not something that I need to name people in writing.
Now, it's unclear if any action was taken against any of the people who were on that list. We did reach out to Boston Police and are still waiting to hear back. We're in Boston. Charmin Sketty, WCVB News Center 5.
Yeah, so is anybody surprised that this mayor is taking a page straight out of the CCP's playbook, right, in regards to how to deal with political dissidents? I'm not, okay, because that's what communists do, right? Again, a lot of these Democrats are communists, okay? And again, she's pulling this tactic straight from the communist playbook, and she's being compared to Richard Nixon, okay, for her actions, okay? She actually really should be shamed for this, and this should be a lot bigger of a story than it actually is, because imagine if a Republican was compiling a list of political opponents and then sending it to the police, okay? Democrats would be screaming about fascism all day long, okay? You've never heard the end of it. However, again, when it's a Democrat, they just, sweep it under the rug, right? Nothing to see here, okay? A Democrat having police target people that she disagrees with politically apparently is not national newsworthy, okay? But, I mean, we shouldn't be surprised because Democrats are currently cheering on the political persecution of President Trump, okay? The Biden DOJ clearly is being politically influenced to go after political opponents, and they're cheering that on. So we shouldn't be surprised that they're silent about this. But let's read here. Boston's Democrat Mayor Michelle Wu is drawing comparisons to disgraced former President Richard Nixon for compiling a list of her most vocal critics and sending it to the police. Wu, the first woman and first person of color elected mayor of Beantown, admitted the list had been put together, but cited safety reasons and a request from Boston police through a spokesperson. So again, first woman and first so-called person of color, which apparently is supposed to be a racist term, okay? We know why she got elected, okay? She was a diversity candidate. She was an affirmative action candidate in this case, okay? Even though she's Asian, she probably did benefit from some affirmative action here, okay? Because, again, this is what liberals do, okay? They vote based off identity and not based off policy. Quote, the list was made in response to a request from the Boston Police Department after the mayor had been harassed and physically intimidated by individuals for several months outside her home at city functions such as the annual Neighborhood Parks coffee hours and at other public events, Ricardo Patron said in a statement. Yeah, so basically what they're mad about, okay, is that there were people like, for example, fighters who were protesting against the vaccine mandate, okay? This woman was pushing the vax mandate. She was pushing lockdowns, and people said, look, we are not standing for this. We want to be able to live our lives, and they protested. They exercised their freedom of speech, and she said, you know what? I don't believe in freedom of speech. Damn the Constitution. I'm going to put you on a list and have police to go after you. Amazing stuff. Notable names on the list of 15 people include several local restaurateurs who have sued Wu's administration, alleging that she's biased against Italians and white people. Shauna Cartone, an ex-Boston police officer, fired over her opposing of vaccine mandates and also failing to do her job providing a security detail to Wu during a protest, was also named. Others named include local city council candidate and vehement critic of the mayor, Catherine Batali, as well as several anti-vaccine activists who have protested at Wu's home. Nixon, a Republican, notoriously had an enemies list during his presidency, one that included names for union execs, sitting congressmen, and even famously liberal actor Paul Newman. Multiple lists were revealed during the investigation into the wiretapping of the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate office complex in 1972, along with the following cover-up finally led to his resignation. Wu's spokesperson, Patron, told the Boston Herald that the list was requested by the Boston police. Yeah, so I'm not sure whether or not police actually requested the hit list first, but regardless, I think it's clear what's going on here with this mayor. It's the same thing that happens to a lot of these Democrats that get in power, is that they go on a power trip. They now think that they are above the law, kind of like Lori Lightfoot, who did not follow the law in Chicago and was caught numerous times speeding through red lights and ignoring traffic laws that she made tougher because the city needed more revenue. So while she was ticketing people for, doing things like speeding in a school bus zone or school zone or something like that, she was doing it herself, okay, riding around with police escort, right, and not paying the fines, right, because, again, she thought she was above the law. And lo and behold, we have a story about Boston Mayor Michelle Wu basically doing the same thing, but she actually caused a crash that involved children, okay, because there's a video that shows Michelle Wu in a police cruiser, the lights are on, causing a crash after running a red light, right? So, again, it's stories like this that show you exactly what these Democrats are about, okay? They're all about power and control, and this person is simply being the authoritarian that she is, okay? She's a communist, right? So, again, it shouldn't be any surprise that she's an authoritarian, that she feels like she's above the law, okay? No, we can run lights, right? Because I'm the mayor. I can put out political hit lists because I'm the mayor, right? I can have my political opponents arrested simply for exercising their freedom of speech. It's really a shame. It really is. And what's even more of a shame is that this is not a national news story. And Democrats aren't covering this because, again, they the ones that are always screaming about fascism and how, apparently it's such a big threat in this country. And they're right. Fascism is a big threat in this country, except fascism on the left, not so much on the right, okay? Because Democrats have a history of creating lists of their political opponents because, again, that's the type of country that they want us to live in, where you're punishing your political opponent for disagreeing with the state authorities, aka Democrats. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.